folks, welcome back to Untitled Chapter. This is Chris once again. Hey folks, welcome back to Untitled Africa. This is Chris once again. Well, the schedule is set. What schedule, you ask? The 26th of February, 2021. World Rugby and the French Organizing Committee have released the schedule, the slate of games for the pool and the knockout stages of the 2023 Rugby World Cup in France. This will mark 200 years since the game was invented by William Webb Ellis, purportedly in the town of Rugby in Warwickshire. 200 years of rugby. Wow, folks. Did you know it had been around that long? 200 years. So that celebration will take place with a gargantuan, right out of the gate match. Last time we saw Japan play a game to open up their series and got themselves a pretty easy win. This time, it will not be something to ignore. It will be France versus the mighty All Blacks from New Zealand on the 8th of September in Stade de France in Saint-Denis, which is a northern suburb of Paris. Wow. Right there in the nation's capital, you will see Les Bleus versus the All Blacks. Wow. That will be a Titanic, and it will set the tone for that stage. If France has any hope of coming top of the log, they're going to have to win that game. There's no way that New Zealand loses 2 games in a pool stage, or even a pool stage game at this rate. So we'll see what happens there. But wow, the All Blacks and Les Bleus, that should really start things off pretty well. After that, it's a pretty easy slide for Les Bleus as they continue in their own home tournament this time. They take on the number 1 America's team, which of course is yet to be decided. That will take place in Lille. And then they play Africa 1, which historically has been of late the Velviches from Namibia and Marseille. And finally, they wrap up their qualification stage with a game against Italy, and that'll take place in Lyon, and that's France. Now, folks, those of you who follow Chris Wyatt Africa or read my post about the Rugby World Cup expansion, which I've been opposed to because the sport is not in good financial condition to be doing that, and also not so happy with the selection of France as the venues for the location for 2023. Both South Africa and Ireland had far better bids, and even admitted so by their own internal team at World Rugby, which evaluated 3 bids and said that France had the worst of the 3 bids, and by a wide margin. Yet somehow, magically, miraculously, France won the Rugby World Cup. This will be their 3rd time hosting it, once directly and another time in conjunction with England and Wales. So 3rd time for the Rugby World Cup in France, although the entire cup will be held this time in France, nowhere else. So it should be interesting. But France opens up the World Cup on the 8th of September, 2023. Wow, at Stade de France, the huge stadium. And let's talk about these stadiums a little bit, and let's talk about a couple of teams I'm more concerned about in the Rugby World Cup. Springboks, the defending William Webb Ellis champion. Springboks, 3-time Rugby World Cup winners, 1995 in South Africa, 2007 in France, and 2019 in Japan. There you go, folks, Japan. Anyway, so let's talk about it. South Africa doesn't have the easiest of goes. They've got a bit of a tough pull here, playing against Celtic nations. But let's talk about their 4 games. They will play on the 10th of September in Marseille, the 17th of September in Bordeaux, the 23rd of September in Saint-Denis, and the 1st of October in Marseille once again. So 2 games in Marseille, a game in Bordeaux, and a game in Saint-Denis. That gets them to some of the largest venues in the country. The 67,000-seat Stade Velodrome, which is in Marseille, was built back in 1937. However, it was renovated in 2014. It has been the site of many soccer championships played off there over the years. That's on the 10th of September when they play Scotland. That'll be a challenge for the Springboks, but they should be able to pull through and win that game. The Scots side should be looking for an upset. This is an opportunity for them to make a statement and do it early in the tournament. But if they're going to defend the William Webb Ellis Cup, the Springboks need to come out of the gate strong and defeat Scotland on the 10th of September 2023 in Marseille. Now, their next game will be a week later on Sunday, the 17th of September. This will be against Europe number 2. In the past, that's been teams like Romania that have qualified for that position. This should be a relatively easy victory for South Africa. It should be. We'll see what the team is in 2023 and if they actually get on the pitch between now and then. This will take place at Stade de Bordeaux in Bordeaux. This is a smaller venue with 42,000, and it's called Mammoth Atlantique. Why do they have 2 names? Odd. Anyway, that was built in 2015, so it's a relatively new stadium, but mid-size. The 3rd game will be the 23rd of September South Africa plays Ireland. This will be another huge challenge for the Springboks. This will be at Stade de France in St. Denis. This, again, is a 81,300 seat venue built in 1998, and it was part of the 1999 Rugby World Cup and the 2000 Rugby World Cup. And it was renovated back in 2010. It is a massive stadium and in the capital, so it will likely sell out and may challenge Ireland versus Romania in the United Kingdom back in 2015 for the largest Rugby World Cup attendance ever. Could just pip them just past the finish line. And so I recall correctly the game that I was at, Romania versus Ireland, had 81,000. So this is about the same number. Should just squeeze in past it. On the 1st of October, South Africa plays Pacific number 1. It'd be Tonga, Samoa, one of those countries, Fiji. And that may not be an easy game, but it should be a game they should win. That'll be at Stade Velodrome in Marseille. And there you have it, folks. That is the Springboks schedule. 10, 17, 23 September, and 1 October in Marseille versus Scotland, in Bordeaux versus Europe number 2, yet to be determined, in Stade de France in St. Denis against Ireland, and then against the Pacific 1 team in Marseille, once again back in Marseille where they started. This is the 10th Rugby World Cup, folks. Wow. Can you imagine that? 10 Rugby World Cups already. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. 10 Rugby World Cups. And finally, for the Africa 1 qualifier, which I expect and hope will be in Namibia, but we'll see what happens there. This is a little bit tougher. In 2019, I thought that for sure that the Velviches, as the Africa qualifier, would have pulled off a game. And the game I predicted they were going to win was against Canada. Canada looked vulnerable. They barely qualified for the tournament going through the repage. They had not gotten the Americas 1. That went to the USA. They didn't get the Americas 2. That went to Uruguay. And so they wound up competing in the repage tournament against the likes of Hong Kong, Germany, Kenya, and others. And they managed to win that tournament in France and then go on to the Rugby World Cup, where they lost all their games. The game against Namibia was the last game. Unfortunately, Typhoon Hagibis washed out that game, and it never occurred. Now, the players helped people recover and mop up and clean up after, which was wonderful. Great to see rugby giving back to the community. It was awesome, especially in light of the deadly storm like Hagibis. But it was very disappointing to not see the Velviches have a chance to get that first ever Rugby World Cup victory. It's an elusive one. They nearly beat Georgia, losing 17-16 back in 2015 in England. This was the day. However, if the Velviches get the Africa 1 in 2023, I don't feel nearly as confident that they can pull out a victory. I hope so. They have 2 chances, and they have 2 games they don't have a prayer. So whoever goes, the first game is against Italy. That would be a chance, depending on what kind of state Italy is in, and maybe you could surprise them early in the tournament, but a difficult challenge nonetheless. It is the Azzurri are a hard-to-predict bunch. Sometimes they play their hearts out and they do well, finish with 2 wins and 2 losses. Sometimes they're just abysmal. We shall see. They are beatable, and a side that has a good game plan, is prepared, could take them out. That would be exciting to see. That's the 9th of September in Saint Etienne. The next game is against the All Blacks. That's in Toulouse, and good luck there. That should just be a game to go if you're a fan, just to watch your team play, or if you like the All Blacks. But unlikely to see the Africa 1 team win that game. The next game will be against France. That'll be in Marseille at the Velodrome, and that's on the 21st of September. Seems very unlikely that anyone could pull that one off against France as well. And then the last one here is an opportunity, and this depends on the state of things. Now, as a USA Eagles fan, I expect or hope that it's the USA that comes in here, but maybe if USA qualifies for the second position, it might be better because they're going to have to play the All Blacks, they're going to have to play France, and they're going to have to play Italy in this pool. And that's going to be a tough row to hoe for the Eagles. And this last game would be America's 1. So if they qualify as America's 1, they would play the last game that the Africa 1 would play, and that would be a victory, a chance for either side to pull out a win. That game will be in Lyon. And there you have it, folks. That's just a little rundown of some of the stuff happening in 2023 in France for the Rugby World Cup. The slate has been set. Now, not all the teams are selected. Of course, you finish in the top 3, you automatically advance. That means that 12 teams are already in the Rugby World Cup, and the remaining ones have to be added to it. So we have to see what's going on. Or 16 teams. We have to wait and see how the other teams qualify from America 1, America 2, America's 1, America's 2, Pacific, Africa. Those teams must qualify, get them into the tournament, and Europe 1, Europe 2, that sort of thing. So once we see what happens there, then we'll get a better picture of who faces who. But it's going to take a little bit of time before we get those qualifying stages, especially with COVID. Who knows what the schedule looks like now? I suspect we're not going to see qualifications until later than we've traditionally seen them because of the scheduling going on around the world with sport. Well, folks, 10th Rugby World Cup taking place in France 2023. Be there. Check it out. I will likely be there. I haven't missed a World Cup since 2011, any World Cup, whether it's the men, the women's, the sevens, been to all of them. And I'm disappointed. I wanted this to go to South Africa or Ireland, especially Ireland would have been very fascinating to see, especially if Ireland hosted most of the games and did a few in Wales and in Scotland as the Celtic nations. That would have been interesting. But nonetheless, France got the bid, and they will be hosting the games in 2023. So stay tuned for when tickets are available. They're not up yet. And sign up on the World Rugby site, the Rugby World Cup site, to get notified for pre-sale and be part of the process if you want to get your tickets for Rugby World Cup. Anyway, folks, thanks a lot for listening and tuning in. I appreciate it. You'll see this video on various platforms as we deal with some harassment elsewhere until we get back up where we're supposed to be. And thank you for your time and support. God bless and have a lovely day.